Hey friends, Blue Jacket 66, back in the United States and ready for another video. Been gone the last 2 weeks. Was blessed and fortunate enough to be able to go to a trip to Europe, visit my daughter. She lives near Venice in Italy. And her and my granddaughter and my son, we all four just took off on this whirlwind little tour. We went, it's a long flight over there, and we were delayed just forever in Chicago. So travel time was incredibly long, but got there in the afternoon, and we immediately took the car up to Salzburg. I think that was 4 or 5 hour drive, and had some dinner there, kind of explored downtown Salzburg. Everything had kind of closed down by then. The next day did Salzburg, Austria, which was really fantastic, the birthplace of Mozart and where he lived. Cool place. Then I went up to 3 days to the Czech Republic, went to Prague, which was fantastic. I mean, some people consider that the place to go in Europe, and I see why. It is breathtaking. Crossing that bridge into Prague, that whatever 14th century bridge, is just, it takes your breath away. It's very humbling. It was incredible, and that town was fantastic. There for 3 days. Then back overnight to her house, and then up at 2 o'clock in the morning we drove to Rome. That was a little bit of a different animal. Busy city, bustling, beggars, tourists, hot, crowded. But the history there and the sites and the archaeology, which there's a lot of stuff there, and you bypass 16th century, 17th century stuff because you're looking at stuff that was, you're looking for more stuff that was around the time of Christ and the early Forum days in 2030 AD, and but that was phenomenal. Then went up to St. Terre, it's up there on the Mediterranean. That was another 4 hour drive. Stayed up there a couple days, and that was much more relaxing, beautiful, coastal, and a fantastic experience. And our last 3 days, we drove up to Switzerland. We did all Airbnbs and wanted to stay in Lucerne, but there really wasn't many Airbnbs in Lucerne, so we stayed on Lake Geneva and Montreux. That's the town from Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. But we stayed in Montreux in a castle. It was actually an old chateau. It was probably I don't know, 1800s chateau. It's unbelievable. We stayed there, did Montreux for a couple days. The last day we did drive up to Lucerne, Lucerne in Switzerland, which is probably my favorite place. And it was just on a lake, Lake Lucerne, and just unbelievable. So it was a whirlwind. I'm tired. My son's still there. He's going to be there for another month. 2 weeks staying with his sister. And then in 2 weeks after that, my ex-wife, his mom, is headed there, and they're just he's having a great summer. I kept up a little bit on some of the videos, just a little bit as I could. Enjoy it. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I promised myself that I wouldn't come back and make my first video some bitter, snarky video. So I'm not going to do that. You know where I stand on some of this stuff. I'll probably go there in later videos, but not today. Card-wise, I actually won something on eBay from a consignor like you and me. It was wonderful. It wasn't shilled up. I got a fair price for it. It was delivered nicely, and I felt really good about it. It's good to get away from this questionable activity for once and for all, and I will stay away from it. So I'll show you that. A little bookstore in Lucerne. I also got this book, Mars Attacks. It's not old, but I haven't seen it. It's from 2012. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 1962 Mars Attack set. I have that set. Me and my son put it together. But This book was put on Topps when they did, I think they did a re-release of that set in 2000 whatever, I can't remember what. But it's a little explanation of the cards and little stories behind the thought behind the set and whatnot. So I'm going to read that. I'll probably show my Mars Attack set at one point. So today in the mail I got, came home and went to the UPS store and picked up my what I'd won on eBay, 1910 E98 Christy Mathewson. The E98 set, American catalog, card catalog, the E designation is a candy issue. I don't think they know who issued it. It's a set of 30 players, 17 of them are Hall of Famers. The big ones are Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, Connie Mack, Cy Young. Very, very scarce set. Prohibitively scarce set up until that Black Swamp find, where someone in their attic found hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of pristine or near pristine E98s. Most of them are red. I mean, you can find them for sale, and they really kind of squash the prices on E98s, or at least on the scarcity. But good for me as a Mathewson collector. Really not many Mathewsons came out of that find. Really just a few. You really don't even see them. I think maybe just one or two, actually. So the E98s, much like the E94s and some of the similar issues, are some of the players can be found in 4 colors: blue, green, red, and orange. If you go back, dig deep into my videos, you'll see a video called E98 Ty Cobb versus Mike Trout. And you'll see my rainbow run of the 4 different colors of Ty Cobb. I mean, that video hasn't had many hits, and it's like, I'm like, it's one of my favorites. I don't know how I could do much better than that. So I decided after I finished that I was going to do the E98 color run of Christy Mathewson, try to get the blue, the green, the red, and the orange. And I find Christy Mathewson to be much more difficult than Ty Cobb to find examples. On eBay, a red one is there a lot, and it's I don't really care about condition. I like it kind of look pretty good, but they tend to ask too much. So I've been trying to find my first one for a year or more, and I finally got that. This is the blue one. I'll show it up close in a second here. Nice pose. It's a pretty card. The guy was really good on his description of it. He described this as maybe a little indentation. I've looked under it with a loop. It's not. It's just a little print defect there. These E-candy cards are kind of notorious for a little bit of chipping in the white. There's some, edge wear, a little bit of tiny little stain over there. The back lists all the players. There's no ad. There's a tiny bit of paper loss right up there. But this is like my Cobbs, it's right up my alley. These things can be prohibitively expensive in high grade, if not impossible. So in these quote unquote lower grades, they're, at least somewhat more affordable, and I think they look fantastic. I think those Black Swamp finds, they look like they were printed yesterday, and honestly, I don't like that. I like these kind of cards. I like them to have, I think they look like old baseball cards, and they have a little bit of wear to them. So we'll show that in a second. What else? I don't know. I'll try to I gotta get back to work here in a couple days. I don't really have any other irons in the fire on what I'm doing as far as cards. I'm kind of taking this a little bit of step back. I think I'm going to get back into the pre-war vintage tobacco candy cards, mainly candy and bakery cards that I love so much. Maybe take a little bit of step away from these 50s and 60s cards, although I do have my eye on a Mike Baseball Collector had just got a Wilson Franks card, and I think I commented in his comments I'm looking for a Campanelle in the Wilson Franks, which is kind of up my alley for my regional issues. And I've emailed a message to someone sending one. I want a little better view of the back, and then I'll see if I'll go for that. So let's take a look at this 1910 E98 set of 30. Christy Mathewson, my first one, and in my first one as I go for this color run. I'd said in an earlier video, remember I'm doing my George Brett autograph cards. I've yet to get one because I've been on vacation, but I do have one on my watch list for eBay. So the watch list is interesting once you take out some of these major consigners, and I refuse to even look at their cards. I'll still look at Probstein until I find them distasteful if I do. So let's look at it. This is a pretty card. Christy Mathewson, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest right-hand pitchers of all time. Okay, here's a little better look at this card, I think. See the little bit of corner wear. Pretty good colors. There's no creases. A little bit of chipping there around that border. Here's the back. This card is a set of the following 30 players: Christy Mathewson, John McGraw, Johnny Kling, Chance, Honus Wagner, Clark, Bresnan, Chase, Ford, Cobb, Jennings, Chief Bender, Walsh, Cy Young, Birdwell, Minor Brown, Mullins, Chief Myers, Vaughn, Doohan, Tenney, McLean, LaHoy, Tinker, Evers, Davis, Eddie Collins, Dahlin, Connie Mack, and Combs. So I hope you like that. It's been a while since I've shown that. I'm thinking about doing a safety deposit box handful rummage, maybe do it in a series where I just reach in and pull out some cards and see what we got in there. It's kind of sad having cards in safety deposit box, but it's the way it's got to be these days. So here it is, 1910 E98 set of 30, Christy Mathewson, and they actually listed as blue. That's interesting. So I'm going to find the red background, the orange background, and a green background. Glad to be back. Looking forward to getting back into your videos. I'm a little bit gone down this rabbit hole. I don't know if you guys have heard of the podcast Serial. I'm sure maybe you have, and I'm like the last one on board on this, but it's Serial. And back in 2014, they started this investigation on the 1999 murder case of Hae Min Lee, who was allegedly murdered by Adnan Syed, one of his ex-boyfriend and classmate. So this podcast, which there's like 14 episodes in their first season 1 of Serial, Serial. I've gone down this rabbit hole on this case, and that led me to Undiscovered and all these other podcasts talking about this case. It's this monstrous rabbit hole that evidently everybody in the world knows about. I think the Serial podcast on that has had like over 100 million views. So I am like completely obsessed with that case now. It's from 1999, and Adnan Syed was convicted in 2000, but it's an examination of the case, and it's essentially that he was unjustly prosecuted in that. It's extraordinarily interesting. I cannot get enough of that. So you guys may check it out if you got hours and hours and hours and hours just to get submersed in some crazy or ongoing murder case. Okay, talk to you later. Thanks.